Good evening, everybody. Before I go to 3.01, I'd like to welcome Mr. John Morgan to the board. As you all know, we had 3 additional candidates who were extremely well qualified, but the board felt that Mr. Morgan was the best candidate among all of them. So welcome to the board, Mr. Morgan. And we really appreciate you applying for such a fantastic position, such a fantastic, well-paying position. And with that being said, does anybody else want to say anything?
Hey, Sean, I want his job then.
Okay. Does anybody else want to make any comments?
No, just thank you so much.
All right. With that being said,
Just perhaps we should clarify for the public that the reference to pay was a joke, since school board members in New York State serve voluntarily and do not get any monetary compensation.
all right. Thank you, Peggy, for that fantastic clarification. With that being said, 3.01, public comments on agenda items only. A total of 30 minutes at the beginning of each board meeting is set aside to allow for public comments on agenda items only. Individual comments on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes and are welcome. Based on the Open Meeting Law and Board Policy 1230, debate or dialogue with board members is not allowed during a meeting. Compliments or complaints about student discipline, specific student issue, or personnel must not be addressed during public comment. Comments or questions submitted to the use of the public comment form will be sent to the appropriate staff member who will provide a response on a district public comment response webpage. If we wish to address items relating to our school district that are not on tonight's agenda, another comment period is provided at the end of the meeting for that purpose. In the interest of civility and respect for different points of view, clapping, booing, and any disturbance or disruption is not permitted. At this time, comments related to agenda items are welcome. Please state your name and the agenda items you're speaking on. Alberta, are there any comments on agenda items?
Yes.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay. First comment is from Tony Sefeli. He writes, has the 3-tier schedule in transportation been considered during COVID-19? Example to follow. That was used for years before implementing a 2-tier busing system. In the 3-tier system, transportation had the availability of WCSD drivers to cover runs, which was more flexible than a 2-tier and the current schedule. Example, 1st tier high schools, 2nd tier junior high schools, 3rd tier all elementary schools. The contract for outsourcing 15 bus runs to Orange County Transit for $8,370 per day. Where is this money coming from? Is it from taxpayers, a grant, a fund, or government assistance? Also, in the unfortunate event that WCSD has to close district-wide due to COVID-19, does the contractual amount of $8,370 per day still payable to Orange County Transit during the closure? The Orange County Transit contract states it is in effect until the end of June 2021. Does this mean that WCSD will not be hiring bus drivers to take the runs that are being outsourced? Thank you for your time. There are no additional comments at this time.
Thank you, Alberta. 4.01 Superintendent's Report, update on reopening plan / monthly financials. Dr. Bunk.
Thank you, President Lumia, Vice President Odoms, members of the Board of Education, and our community. First of all, I would also like to welcome Trustee Morgan. Look forward to working with you and collaborating with you as we move forward. And again, thank you for stepping up during this most challenging time. The first item that I would like to refer to this evening, as I have mentioned, I have been listening and I have been welcoming all correspondence from members of the community, which you have sent me quite a few comments and thoughts and suggestions that are appreciated. However, I did not expect this one letter that I would like to share with you this evening. Please provide me an opportunity to read through this. Dear Dr. Bonk, we know you have been working extremely hard to get kids back to school safely. With winter coming, the district decided that snow days will now be remote learning days. We feel that it is important to keep snow days as snow days and not remote learning days. One reason that we should keep snow days is because during bad snowstorms, often people lose their electricity. If we lose electricity, we lose the internet. If some people in the class lose their internet, they will not be able to view the lessons and complete their work. It is not fair for some classmates to be able to log into Google Classroom and others cannot. The teachers can even lose their internet. Another reason we should keep our snow days is because we are working very hard and it is nice to have a break. Some of us are on the computer 5 days a week. It adds up to a lot of learning hours and it is not good for our eyes and brains. Having an unexpected break would be delightful and it would be good to get outside to play in the snow. Most importantly, kids and teachers look forward to snow days. When you were younger, I'm sure you were excited to wake up and hear on the radio, no school, it's a snow day. I can share with you, being from Western New York, that did not happen very often, as it snows in Western New York literally 10 months a year. They go on to say, good snowstorms rarely happen. It would be wonderful to be able to enjoy a snowstorm instead of doing remote learning all day. We enjoy spending time with our families and friends, sledding, having snowball fights, building snowmen and snow forts. We enjoy warming up with fresh baked cookies, hot cocoa, and warm fires. Kids and teachers enjoy snow days. Thank you for taking the time to read our letter and for all of your hard work getting us back to school. Please consider giving back our snow days. Sincerely, the hardworking third grade students in Miss Tarpey's class at Gay Head Elementary School. I did respond to Mrs. Tarpey's class and I thank them for their insight. This also gives me an opportunity to state snow days have not gone. The district has another alternative to potentially utilizing snow days, which would be remote learning days. It does not mean that snow days are gone. It just means we have another alternative. Whether we'll use it or not, it all depends on the circumstances. So thank you very much to Mrs. Tarpey's third grade elementary students for their letter. Next, I would like to go on and I would like to congratulate John Jay High School student Catherine Tan, who was referred to in a recent Poughkeepsie Journal article for not only acing her SAT, notice the pun, but in addition to that, winning a regional tennis title. Congratulations, Catherine. Congratulations to you. A round of applause, please. And in addition to that, I would also like to congratulate Catherine's teachers as well as her coaches, as I firmly believe that no one is successful by themselves. Next, I would like to take an opportunity to refer any interested members of the public to the district website. There is a video there that talks about the district's COVID-19 protocols. As you are aware, we've had a number of cases over the past couple of weeks. In the event you have any questions in regards to the policies, protocols, procedures that we follow, that information is a good resource. Before I get on to the presentation, I am also very, very excited to announce some good news as went out in the community update today. One of the things that we have been saying for the past couple of weeks is our commitment to providing as much in-person instruction as possible for all of our students. However, it's got to be done in a safe manner. I would like to thank the members of the Senior Staff Administration, our local labor unions within the Wappingers Congress of Teachers for coming to an agreement that provided us the opportunity to send out a schedule, phase-in schedule, to increase the amount of in-person instruction at the secondary level by over an hour starting in January and over an hour and a half beginning in April. There will be additional information coming out in regards to this. One question that has already come up is why can't you start it sooner? And I can tell you the reason for that is that we still need individuals within our transportation department. We have a number that are on quarantine right now. We're in the process of getting to a point where we feel very, very confident that we will be able to return to a two-tier system beginning January 11th. And what that means is that all elementary schools will go back to the same tier, as opposed to now we actually have a three-tier system right now. We have 2 tiers of elementary and 1 tier of secondary. We will be going back to 2 tiers. Elementaries will all have the same schedule. Secondaries will all have the same schedule. And we are pleased to announce that we have increased the amount of in-person learning a total true collaborative effort. So I'd like to thank everybody involved. And now, without any further ado, I think I have a presentation to do along with Assistant Superintendent Crandall, which is a financial and an educational update. So if we can start rolling with that, that would be appreciated. And as a matter of fact, here it is, right in front of me. Here is the screen. So as you see, this evening, we're going to be providing the financial and educational update. Needless to say, many of you are aware of our mission. We practice it on a daily basis. We're always looking to empower, challenge, and grow as a district. So Ms. Crandall, obviously there you see the members of the central office senior staff, as well as the members of the Board of Education, District Clerk and Secretary Pedro. If we can move on to the next slide, please. All right, and at this point, Assistant Superintendent Crandall, please begin.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Bonk. Thank you, Board of Education, for providing us with the opportunity to have this discussion. As we've done in the past, we're trying to do this at least once a month so that we can make sure we're all on the same page as we continue on in 2021, move on into 21 and 22, and then even beyond. So as we had at our previous meeting of the Board of Education, the budget calendar was approved. So we have been working on the 21-22 budget. These requests are coming in for in-service coursework, equipment, new staffing. We're all coming to our senior staff as per the budget calendar for our review. Important to note that in the 2021 school year, 21-22 school year, there will be a handful of contracts for bargaining units that will also be up for negotiation. This is something we're very aware of. We want to make sure that we are addressing these as quickly as possible and through the budget process as well. We had shared previously that the budget vote conversations have begun between the district clerk and the business office. We have no idea. There has been no update as to what a budget vote may look like for the forthcoming 21-22 school year, but we will continue to watch this. And as you can see, if there's been no change since our October update, we're going to just touch on it very briefly, but we've included language that says no change since the October update. If that happens in the next month, we will change it to say November. We just want to make sure that we continue to address these items. We don't want to lose sight of anything as we move through the process. So as of the end of September, the state aid had remained unchanged. That continued into October. We still really have no idea what our state aid is going to look like. On Friday afternoon, we got a little email out that told us that we needed to look at our payment certs to see if we were experiencing any reduction in aid. I'm very happy to report that as of right now, the district is not slated to lose any payments in aid in November. The difference between the aid as originally projected and the aid that the district is to receive is that federal CARES Act money. It's exactly to the dollar. And we knew that was the case. That's how the governor balanced his budget, by removing from education aid the amount of the federal CARES Act money that was flowing through to each district through the state. So at this point in time, we have been showing you the net impact that the district may experience as a result of all of the aid being reduced, all of our expenses running as we currently have the information for any recoups on funds that we didn't expect to find that we do find. So the net number there is approximately $13 million to the negative, assuming the information that we have included in the next slides. The next slide is one that we continue to show. Again, this is really just to point out that we have no information on any changes in state aid. The district's next slated big aid amount, meaning more than $200,000 or $300,000, is scheduled for December. So it'll be very interesting to see where we stand with that with regard to the state as we get closer to that date. The next slide has really just continued to show how we got to that negative $13 million that was on the previous slide. There's not been any big adjustments here with regards to what our potential age shortfall is, because we don't know if New York State is going to potentially reduce just 20% payments going forward, or go back retroactive to those September and December payments, for example, and take 20% then, which means it'll be a much bigger chunk in a later time in the year. The governor does have the right to use his Department of Budget and have that conversation, as we discussed in the previous month. The only adjustment to this slide is the bottom box, facilities needs. We were able to adjust out that cost a little bit. It's a little bit less than we had previously projected for the cost of the bus garage and the boiler. Not pandemic related, but still something that must occur. On the next page, we have included the same information, updated it because currently our hybrid scenario is in place, but we continue to have to watch where we stand with with personnel as well as other resources. Going back to school in a pandemic has not proven to be an inexpensive venture, but it is something that the Board of Education, this administration is committed to, and we're going to continue to move forward in that way. Dr. Bonk, I'm going to toss it back to you for the next couple of slides.
Thank you very much, Assistant Superintendent Crandall. So the update on the K12 hybrid model, secondary education update. We're continuing to monitor the needs that we have at each building, as well as our transportation department. Needless to say, we have been impacted by COVID mandated quarantines and remote learning requests, as well as the regular absenteeism that we have. Please note at this point, we have been able to provide personnel necessary to keep our schools open. We're very hopeful we can continue to do that in the future. However, I will say that in the event that we get a positive case at one of our secondary schools, it becomes much more problematic than it might be in elementary school, because generally those staff members are in multiple classes and students are in multiple classes. So we have to be concerned about that, as well as did they take transportation in the morning and so on and so forth. Again, I would refer the community to the COVID video that is on the district website in regards to that, as well as our plan. Scheduling K12 going forward. Obviously, we've got some breaking news to update based on the information that was agreed upon today. We are going to be making some changes effective January 11th to our secondary hybrid model, which is going to increase the amount of in-school instruction, in-person instruction, and then it will again be increased at the beginning of the fourth marking period. In addition to that, the elementary models will shift to a standard model, which will be, I believe, the 825 to 225, as opposed now to the 2-tier, because by that point, we will have adequate transportation staffing, as well as other personnel to be able to proceed in that fashion. Supervisory purposes, monitors, substitute teachers, bus drivers, it's an ongoing need. It continues to be an ongoing need. And quite frankly, even prior to COVID, it was a need. This is not only unique to the Wappinger Central School District, but this is also an issue that districts are facing statewide. Needless to say, we are continuing to recruit. And in the event that we are able to find a number of people, it could be an increased cost to the budget, and that will need to have the approval of the Board of Education before we move forward. Teachers, paraprofessionals. One thing that I would like to clarify, I have gotten some comments in regards to the 504 accommodations for staff. Please understand that these are not done solely at the discretion of the school district. Please know that there is a process for every accommodation that involves the district, attorneys, the district physician, and the school physicians. And based upon that information, a determination is made whether or not the individual should be given an accommodation. So I'd like to clarify that. And that's all I have on this slide. Hybrid schedule, K12, current and next steps. Currently, the K6 will continue on the hybrid schedule, in-person school times. We've slightly adjusted them. K12 self-contained, they will continue at 4 days a week in person. 7 and 8, general education and special education, they will continue on the hybrid schedule in person. 9, 12, high school students, general ed, special ed, will continue on the hybrid schedule. Next steps, Grades K12 general and special education. We had talked about this, the transition to a 2-tier schedule, start time. That will also be using a hybrid schedule. And one of the things I should also say, that if you take a look at the plan that was just sent out this afternoon to the community, you will notice that the periods and the durations change. So not only does the duration of the amount of time that there's in-person instruction change, but we will be changing at the secondary level. At the junior high level, it will be a period 1 through 9 schedule, Monday and Tuesday for one cohort, and then the next cohort will have that schedule Thursday and Friday. At the high school level, it will be a 1 through 8 period schedule on the Monday, a 1 through 8 period schedule on the Tuesday, and then the other cohort will have that schedule for Thursday and Friday, which is different from the current schedule, which on the Monday will only be periods 1 through 4. Obviously, those periods are longer. And then Tuesdays would be periods 5 through 8, or in the junior highs, 5 through 9. So not only are we increasing the duration, but we're also increasing the frequency as well. And K12 self-contained classes will continue 4 days per week in person. Ms. Crandall, I think you're up.
Sure, I'm back. Okay, so this slide, again, has not really had any updates as of November 16th, as of today, because we still have not had any additional reductions in aid. This just shows worst case scenario, what could happen at 20% reductions in each area. As I stated earlier, it's quite possible that that $2 million we didn't get taken in September may come and hit us in March. We really don't know. We don't have any guidance. There does not seem to be any rules. Seems to kind of just be flowing with the moment. So we're going to continue to go with that at this point and just cross our fingers and do the best we can and be as smart as we can with what we have currently in our budget. That's all we can do, and it's unnerving. However, it is how we must proceed. So we do believe that we will be seeing at least a $4.4 million savings in expenses as a result of items we'll see on the next slide. But we are, again, still looking at a potential shortfall of up to $9.3 million, even with that $4.4 million savings due to a potential loss in aid. Our CARES Act money, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. This is the CARES Act, the side of the line where we'll be having some savings. This is what comes to that $4.4 million. As you can see, the majority of that is related to the DHIC premium holiday, which is the Dutchess Educational Health Insurance premium holiday available to the district in December. So essentially the district will not be paying for health insurance for that month. And, you know, these meetings are held monthly, and both the acting superintendent and myself can attend these meetings and hear how we stand at the health insurance level, which of course has a huge impact on what our renewal is going to be as we have those conversations and work towards that for the 21-22 school year. Currently, right now, based on what has been spent with regard to the CARES Act, what we've used, you can see, is approximately $423,000 on the next slide, and we still have about $666,000 encumbered just in case in different areas, several types of expenditures. This has nothing to do with salaries. This has everything to do with equipment and supplies. So this is, as you can see, a huge expense for the district, well over what we expected, and we just continue to manage this money to the best of our abilities, and that's done through a concerted effort at the senior staff level. Mr. Bros has safeguarded all of the supplies that we do have so that we know for sure if we need it, we have it. The next slide basically tries to pull everything together that we're looking at, we're watching on a monthly basis. Really, the budget will become top priority in the next month to 2 months, and not having any knowns at this point as to how we're going to proceed, how it's going to look for 2021 school year is something that we need to continue. We will be receiving our small state aid payments, relatively small, in November at 100%. We have not seen anything different. And we will just continue to work towards the hybrid situation or the hybrid model in January. That again will cost us money, but it gets our students in more educational contact, and that is really the goal of what we're trying to do here while keeping everybody as safe as possible. Dr. Bonk?
Thank you, Ms. Crandall. Said very, very well said. So what are the next steps that we have? Fortunately, we've completed the first step in regards to the K12 hybrid with an announcement to be made soon as possible. We were able to make that announcement today. Again, I thank everyone involved. It's a step in the right direction. It's not the ultimate goal, but it's a step in the right direction. We will continue to provide monthly updates to the Board of Education as well as the WCSD learning community. We have to be cognizant of the potential cuts and reductions from New York State, mid-year expense reductions. We don't know, quite frankly, what that may look like. That may need to necessitate some significant discussion in regards to potential cuts to programs, services, and personnel. I hope we don't have to go there, but we simply don't know at this point. And the proposed Legislative Action Committee, their continued advocacy, which they're doing a phenomenal job, not to lose any New York State funding. So that's where we are at this point. We were very pleased to provide you with this presentation. And at this point, if you have any questions for myself or Ms. Crandall, please feel free, and we will attempt to answer them.
Just a quick question on the
Mr. Lumia, the time's up on the item. Can we get some motions to extend?
I'll have to extend it for 10 minutes. Second, all in favor?
Second.
Unanimous.
Who was second?
Second was Linda Rappaport. And all in favor? Everybody's in favor. Just
Everybody's not in favor.
two questions.
Bob, you're a no?
I'm against.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Just two questions. Number one is the savings of $4.4 million. Could you please explain where that coming from? Christian?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I certainly can, Mr. President Lumia. So the board, because the I'm going to say it again because it's a big long acronym. The Dutchess Educational Health Insurance Consortium, we call that DHIC. That is the.
How about the rest?
3.6 million. Oh, sure. The CARES Act money that the district intends to use, remember that's a savings because we're going to apply that back against, we'll be applying that back as that money is not being paid from our budget, as we're going to be receiving federal reimbursement for that. We have spoken about that. BOCES COSER, it was actually some found money that we would not be using through one of the services at BOCES. And when you add those three items together, it comes to $4.4 million.
The second question is, as you said, we are approximately 1.2 million short in New York State.
Correct.
Today, as of today. I thought that we're up to par. I thought we got all our money as of today.
Okay, so the $1.2 million was withheld. Those are, okay, so the school year runs July 1 to June 30th. Not all of the money from the state is paid to the district prior to June 30th. Therefore, the district sets up what we call a receivable. Money we're going to receive in August and September that was really for the prior school year. There was actually adjustment made to our financial statements, and the auditor did speak to this about how when we received information from the state about what amounts we were supposed to get, it's actually $1.2 million less than we originally thought. So the aid that we have has been withheld from the district is actually 2019-2020 school year aid. And the reason why that can happen is, remember, our school year is July 1 to June 30th. New York State school year is April 1 to March 30th. It is not the same as our school year. So when they took money, New York State withheld those funds from us, it was still in their same school year, their same fiscal year. I'm very sorry. And yet it was in a different school year for the district. So we are still whole for the 2021 school year with regard to federal or New York State aid, but we are not whole with regard to total aid received by the district between that covers 2 years. So we are still $1.2 million short on an aid from New York State, but that was really from the 1920 school year. It won't impact our financial statements in 2020-21 because the audit team made an adjustment in the financial statements that you saw in September,
But it will
if that
impact,
makes any sense.
but it will impact reductions if that.
It already impacted, that's why you're not seeing it in the current analysis, because it already impacted fund balance for the 2019-20 school year. We would have had $1.2 million more in fund balance at the end of the 19-20 school year if that money had not been withheld.
Yeah, but.
Am I
it
making
said-
sense to you?
Yeah, but they said they will need to be made up in the form of expense reductions. Obviously, that's not necessarily true, is it?
Well, anything that we receive, any aid reductions we receive in 2021 will be made up through the expense reductions, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, let's go to the next item on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
4.02, 2019-2020 Wapiti Central High School Assessment and Graduation Outcomes Presentation. Dr. Carwell, I believe. Hello, Dr. Carwell.
Hello,
Hi,
how are you? Good evening,
Hello,
everyone.
Dr. Carwell.
Yes, I will be presenting the high school academic summary and graduation rates along with Mr. Darren Lokema. So I will begin off the presentation by focusing on some of the great things that are happening in our high schools. Similar to last year, we really began by making a lot of headway with increasing civic engagement and critical thinking in our classrooms. We set up a lot of opportunities for our students to meet and speak with authors. We worked a lot with project-based learning. And we definitely started with culturally responsive, sustaining education in our classrooms and through professional development. A lot of this work is continuing this year, and we're excited about it. And we wanted to make sure that the Board of Education and our community knew that even though we are in hybrid and remote learning, quality education and academic programs and academic opportunities are still happening for our students in the classrooms. They may look differently in some instances. However, our teachers are working diligently. Our principals and our academic directors are working very hard to make sure that our teachers have the resources, the skills, and the tools to provide high quality educational experiences for our students. Darren, could you go to the next slide, please? So just as in 1920, there's a list of what our instructional priorities were. For this school year, we also have instructional priorities, definitely continuing what we started last year, but also identifying the power standards. What is it that our students must learn this school year, and how can we fit everything into our school day? Either through synchronous or asynchronous activities, really looking at and focusing on the social emotional needs of our students, which is so important based upon our current climate. Incorporating culturally responsive curriculum and pedagogy is essential. It is not only a board goal, it is a New York State requirement through their culturally responsive sustaining framework. And also looking at and reviewing our textbooks and instructional resources and providing our staff and our students with the resources they need to teach hybrid models and remote models for our students. We are also continuing with our community math tutoring program, which is starting this week. So our students at the secondary level will have the opportunity to participate in community math tutoring. That information is available on our website. We also had our counseling department organize the virtual college fairs for our students, which were well attended and had a large number of colleges that were represented. And we also are very excited to announce that that Amy Watkins and her team has definitely worked on a virtual career for healthcare. So our district has partnered with Dutchess Community College, the Dutchess County Workforce Investment Board, and the Workforce Development Institute to offer our students the opportunity to learn more about careers available in the health sciences. So what will happen is that on the third Wednesday of each month, students will be able to participate in a Zoom series in which they will have an opportunity to speak with healthcare professionals in the regions to learn more about the careers that are out there and offered to them. So we are making virtual learning work as well as we can. We're limited in the amount of in-person support that we can provide. But our team is really working hard in delivering high quality virtual experiences to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students. I wanted to take a little bit of time to review some of the instruction and assessment implementation timelines. I brought a lot of this up last year, but I wanted you to have the information that the state has provided us. The timelines have changed. They shifted a year since the state did not offer Regents exams in June. So we are pushing back our assessments for the next generation exams for ELA and for math and for science, and then also for the social studies framework exams for US history. So you will see slides for mathematics, which is this slide. The next slide is ELA, and you can click on the links to get some additional information. The following slide is for science and when those science exams will start for our high school students. And then if looking at those slides is too much, it is all this information is condensed into some bullet points just to give the board an easy view about when our new assessments will take place at the high school level. And you will see that our Algebra 1 Regents is the first new Regents that will be offered, which is aligned to the next generation math standards, which will take place in June 2023, which is a few years from now. So some of the changes with assessments that we've had due to the pandemic is that our students for the 1920 school year, they did take the January Regents. That January Regents is mostly students who have to retake exams that they have failed. They did take advanced placement exams. They were offered to students virtually this year. And the June and August Regents were canceled. We also had many SAT and ACTs sittings were canceled also for the 1920 school year. For this school year, for 2020-2021, we are working on our local assessments, making sure that we are assessing students in both hybrid and remote settings. New York State has just announced that the Regents for January is canceled. As of now, advanced placement exams are on as scheduled and the June Regents exams are on as scheduled. As soon as we get any updates from the New York State Education Department, we will share that along to the Board of Education and our community. The next few slides on the graduation rates, I will pass the baton over to Darren and I will put myself on mute.
All right, thank you, Dr. Cardwell. Good evening, everyone. So just a couple of slides talking about last year's performance data. What you're seeing right now is a 4-year graduation rate showing just John Jay, Royce Ketchum, and the district totals. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge and congratulate our colleagues and our students at Royce Ketchum High School who had an amazing graduation rate. At 96.8%, the first time in 10 years, Royce Ketchum has surpassed John Jay for graduation rate. You know, the numbers themselves speak a little bit to the environment, if you will, from the last marking period and the elimination of the Regents exams. But we can tell you that what we normally do with the high schools is we have data team meetings every month, and long before COVID, we knew that the cohort at Royce Ketchum was particularly strong. We knew that that they would not necessarily come in at 96.8%, but we're probably going to be about 95% graduates within that cohort, and we're on track to definitely graduate more students as a percentage than John Jay. So we don't want to take this away from them. They worked really, really hard, and we want to acknowledge the fact that all that hard work paid off. This cohort did a great job at all of our schools in the district. Our high schools did a great job with this cohort, but in particular, Royce Ketchum just had some amazing talented kids and amazing staff who worked very hard with these kids, and really just want to congratulate them at such a to come through with such an amazing graduation rate at 96.8%. And as you can see, we've come a long way in the last just 8 years in this chart. It's been in the last 4 years, we've seen nothing but 90% or better. And there's no reason to think that with the work that have established with the data teams and keeping track of students and being able to look at things from a data dashboard perspective, there's no reason why we couldn't keep this trend continuing, and just want to thank everyone again for their hard work. This is the four-year graduation rate, also inclusive of Orchard View. Orchard View is also doing a wonderful job, and I would say has surpassed expectations. Again, not necessarily focusing on the 1920 school year. Obviously, with students, I'm sure took, were able to realize some additional graduation requirements being waived with the Regents exams and whatnot. But if their cohorts at Orchard View are very small, so you might have a graduating class less than 20 students more often than not. And so when any one or two students who do not graduate on time can have a massive impact on the actual percentage total itself. So if this trajectory, having gone up for so many years in a row, I would say is pretty remarkable, because you would expect with such small groups of students, you would actually see a lot more of peaks and valleys where one particular year to the next maybe has more success than the other as compared to the previous cohort. So to see this trajectory is really, really positive, and really also pays, it's due to pay respect and thanks to the team at Orchard View, who work really, really hard with our students in creating the different pathways that they have to graduate. This slide is basically the culmination of many slides you would normally see. Normally, we would present during this presentation a series of slides for each individual Regents exam itself, and it would show you a 5-year trend of performance. So we had to think of how to present information that's relevant to the 1920 school year, and give you a sense as to what the Regents exemptions process that Dr. Cardwell had mentioned, the cancellations of the June and the August Regents, and what impact that had on our students, grades 8 through 12. So this is the way this would work. We have all of the different Regents exams that were potentially taken. Now, the global Regents exams have a couple of different ones. We are now using the new framework Regents exam, which was used for the first time, I believe, in the 18-19 school year. And the idea is that the global Regents exam is, for the most part, is pretty much always, I should say, given to 10th graders. So that is a typical year this exam is taken. So we had 827 students receive an exemption on the global Regents exam from this past school year, the 1920 school year. If you notice, we have 68 students in 11th grade and 6 students in 12th grade also receive the exemption credit for this exam. Those were students who were, beyond 10th grade, who were intending to take the Regents exam, but due to the cancellation of the exam, they got credit for the exam as an exemption. And typically, well, not typically, I should say, although the averages are very close over 5 years, in the most recent year this exam was given, 18-19, the 90% of the students who attempted this exam did receive a passing score. So that's basically what's mirrored throughout this chart. I'll just give it just another moment and I'll explain one more time. just using the Regents exam as an example, 179 students, those are our honors students in 8th grade between both Royce Ketchum, between Wappingers Junior High and Van Wyck Junior High. 179 students received the exemption. Those were our honors students for algebra. A lot of students, if they didn't take algebra as an 8th grader, they're going to come in and take the Regents in their freshman year. Those, not all students are successful. You can see that the pass rate is about 81% on this exam. It's a difficult exam for a lot of our students. So a number of students, over 200 students between 10th and 12th grade were also able to receive the exemption from the New York State Regents for Algebra 1. The reason why, and Dr. Cardwell touched upon a little bit, was the reason why the Common Core English exam is highlighted in red is just to point out that typically 11th graders take the Regents ELA exam. However, this number looks remarkably low, and that's because our honors Regents classes do take the Regents exam early. They take it in January. And their success, so there was about just under 300, I think it was 293 students this past January who attempted and took the Regents ELA exam. So this number would be a lot, closer to 600 or 942. And in addition, 42 seniors got the credit for the exam. The success rate from the previous year, 18-19, was about 92%. Success rate from the January Regents for those honors kids students who took the exam was about 93-94% as well. It might have been some retest takers in there, but for the most part, they're mostly the honors students. So that's how this chart is read. You can see 7,631 total exemptions were given in the 2019-20 school year for Regents. I'm going to turn this back over to Dr. Cardwell, and she's going to talk about the AP.
Thank you, Mr. Lokema. So one of the data sets that we do have available to us from the 1920 school year are the advanced placement exams that were given virtually by the College Board in the spring. So you have on the next couple of slides the data for how the students performed on the virtual AP assessments for each course. So the score of 5, that's the highest score that you can get on the AP exam. And the number that is next to that score. So for example, on the current slide where music theory, there is a number 2. So that indicates that there were 2 students that scored a level 5, which is the highest score in that particular course. I'm not going to review this data. I will be available to answer any questions that you do have, but I did want to provide you with some trend data. So over the past 3 years, we did provide you with some information on the percentage of students who scored from a level 1 all the way up to a level 5 for the past 3 years. And if you notice the data, that you will see that our students have increasingly scored higher on the AP exams than in previous year. And I believe that our teachers have been working extremely hard in preparing our students for the AP exams. And also our AP students are extremely dedicated workers, and they work very hard to pass all of the exams to the best of their ability. We will continue to do data analysis as data becomes available. In the past, we've always looked at district data, school data, each department and their assessment data, how the students are performing, how the teachers are supporting the students. And as soon as we're able to get that data analysis back on track, we will do so. We use that information to help us review and align our curriculum and also our local assessments that we provide. And these conversations are ongoing even now to discuss instructional strategies that have proven to be most effective. We will continue to increase opportunities for professional learning for teachers and administrators in supporting our students academically. And definitely providing ongoing targeted professional development for our teachers and our teaching assistants to make sure that they're getting everything that they need to support the students in all academics and all district initiatives. And with that, we can open it up for any questions that the board may have.
Does anybody have any questions?
Congratulations, Dr. Cardwell. Darren.
I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Just exactly, have the teachers seen the New York State Next Generation Mathematics exams, sample exams at all? Hello? Dr. Cardwell?
Hold on, I had to take myself off mute. So the teachers at the high schools have not seen these exams. We just recently received the new framework for U.S. history that was supposed to be administered for the first time last school year, and that was postponed. We are waiting for the state to release sample exams. We do have sample questions that our teachers in many departments have looked at, but those new exams for algebra, for instance, will not begin until 2023 at the high school level.
Let me, last question. So far as the number of exemptions that were given in these regions, did that affect in a positive way the graduation rate?
Yes, it did have a positive effect on the graduation rate. Yes, but we were looking at low to mid 90s on the percentage anyway. So it's really not to take away from all the hard work that the high schools and their teams were doing. The faculty and staff with the students, they did a great job this year.
Okay. Any other questions? John?
Actually, just an observation. This will sound like I'm echoing what Mr. Lokema just said. But even if you dismiss the big jump from last school year as compared to the previous one, if we look at the 4s and 5s on AP exams, we're looking at 10% increases year over year from 2 years ago to 1 year ago. So even though the exams were different, I'm very encouraged.
Any other questions?
President Lumi, if I can just make a comment, I would like to thank Dr. Cardwell and Mr. Lokema for this excellent presentation. Needless to say, we're pleased with the success that we've made, but we still have room to grow, and we will work collaboratively to reach the highest potential that we can. We want all of our students to be 5s. We want 100% graduation rate. We will work tirelessly to get there. We're happy with the progress we've made. I want to thank the teachers, all of our faculty and staff, our students, and our communities for placing the emphasis that they have on the importance of education. It's reflected, obviously, in the results. And again, a special thank you to the administration for being the leaders in the building and overseeing this tremendous growth. Thank you.
Dr. Cardwell, thank you. Darren, thank you very much for your presentation. It was excellent. With that being said, 5.04, consent agenda resolution. Is there any item from the consent agenda that anybody wants to pull? John?
Mr. Lumia, could we please pull 5.07, 5.08, 5.09, and 5.10?
Okay, anybody else? Okay, with that being said, Keith?
Yeah, I'm here. Hold on one second. Pull this up.
Keith?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Resolve.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll do it. Resolve the Board of Education has hereby approved the following consent agenda items as stated: 5.02, 5.03, 5.04, 5.05, 5.06, 5.11, 5.12, and 5.13.
And 5.14, right?
There's only 13 I see here. Is there 14? And 5.14.
Approval of donated advisorship.
Yeah. So moved.
Was second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5.07, John? 5.07, 5.08, 5.09, 5.010, John?
You have to read it first, John.
But Keith, okay, I'll read it.
I'm reading. What do you want me to read? Okay,
5.07,
I'll read it. I'll read it. It says,
Okay.
resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the minutes of October 27th, 2020 Board of Education special meeting as stated.
So moved.
So moved.
second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right, discussion, John.
Any discussion?
I just asked this to be pulled so, and the others, so that I could abstain since I was not a board member at those meetings. I shouldn't be voting to approve those minutes.
Okay, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5.08, Keith?
Hold on.
John, you have to continue the vote.
Yes,
In
thank
favor?
you.
Voted
I
already.
need all votes on the record, all votes. Mr.
All
Morgan?
those in favor?
Abstention.
Lumia?
Aye.
Aye. Ruben's aye, Lumi's aye, Eddie's aye, Peggy's aye, Linda's aye, Marie's aye, Keith's aye, Jim Spencer's aye, abstain? John
Aye.
Morgan abstain. All right, I think the next one is 5.08, I think it is.
Albert,
resolved that-
we put the three of them together since we know that why they're being pulled is the same reason.
That's a good idea. 5.08, just read,
I'll make a motion. I'll second that motion, Marie.
Hold on. I just need to make sure of one thing. Mr. Morgan, do you intend to vote the same way on all those items, all those agenda items?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Then,
Which-
Mr., go
which-
ahead. Let's make
which
a
one?
motion to do that, please.
I'll make a
I move.
motion. I second that.
Marie
motion.
motion, and I second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Lumiere, aye. Eddie, aye. Marie, aye. Linda, aye. Peggy, aye. Keith, aye. And Jim, aye. Abstain?
Aye.
Mr. Morgan, okay? 5.14, let's go to the next possibility. 12, 13, 14.
6.01, John.
6.01, approved of the revision of 2020-2001 school calendar. Keith?
Whereas the Board of Education adopted the 2020-2021 school calendar at their meeting of March 23rd, 2020. And the subsequent revisions were approved on August 19th, 2020 and October 19th, 2020. Whereas it has been determined that the 2020-2021 school calendar requires additional revision. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby revise the school calendar to remove January 26th through the 29th as Regents Exam days and change those days to regular school days of attendance for all students.
Motion?
So moved.
Yes.
Peggy and, okay, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous. 7.01, approval of club charters. Keith?
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the new club charters for Ketchum, EMAG, and Stock Market Club at Royce and Ketchum High School as submitted.
Motion?
So moved.
Yep.
Okay, Marie and Ruben, second. Discussion? Jim?
I'd just like to thank the two volunteers, Mr. Remick and the other teacher, for volunteering their time to be advisors. The Stock Market Club sounds like a lot of fun, and I wish I could be in the club.
I'm
But,
gonna be a club. I'm gonna be a club, Jim.
I do realize that it's important that, it's an important club for kids to be a part of. And I just want to thank the advisors for volunteering their time.
Marie?
Yeah, I'm pretty much echoing Mr. Spencer's comments there. And I really wish I could join in on that stock market club, maybe find the millions of dollars that I'm still dreaming of. Maybe learn something. But I do want to thank both advisors. It's a lot. And right now, these kids are really looking forward to these clubs, even though we're having to do a lot of them virtually. it does make a big difference for these kids right now.
This particular stock market club charter used to be part of the curriculum in the mathematics curriculum years ago. I don't know if it still is, but I'm glad that it's becoming a what do you call it, a club. I think it's excellent. All right, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody's in favor. 7.2 for committees, volunteers for open positions. If possible, I would like to appoint Mr. Morgan to be part of the Legislative Action Committee, if it's okay with everybody.
Okay by me.
Any other volunteers? We need, I guess we need one more.
Is it okay with Mr. Morgan?
Yes, it is okay. He spoke to me.
Oh, all right.
I wouldn't appoint him unless he asked.
Eddie, don't make trouble.
Hey, John, would you want to go to any other committees that you like?
I'll be happy to speak with you about another potential committee following this meeting.
Okay, okay, it's fine. With that being said, all those in favor?
So if he is against strategic planning, then I'll take on strategic planning, but I want Mr. Morgan to have first shot at that first. I'm already communication, so I'm already there.
Look, you want to go to strategic planning, Marie? Let's do that, okay, if you don't mind.
Well, I don't know which one he wants, so whichever one.
I don't think he wants strategic planning. I think he expressed that before to me.
Okay, well then I'll take strategic planning.
And there's one more communication committee, community communication.
Well, that would be the only open spot left that Mr. Morgan could jump on if he's interested, and I would welcome him.
Could be very good.
Mr. Lumi and I will discuss that specifically, Mrs. Johnson.
Okay. With that being said, all those in favor of those changes, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Unanimous. 7.03, approve or retire policy 4600, guidance program.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Okay.
Keith has to read it first.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to read it now. Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby retire policy 4600, guidance program, as the policy is not essential, as recommended by the NISBA Policy Review and the members of the Policy Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Linda, second. Come on, Peggy, you want to make a comment on this?
Yes, I just wanted to, and I'm sorry for interrupting you before, Mr. Odoms. Yes, both NISBA's policy division and our attorneys said that we really shouldn't have it as a policy, since it's all covered in the other policies and in our curriculum. That's why we're withdrawing it. It's not that we're doing away with guidance.
All right, any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. 7.04, first reading of policies. Let me make a comment. I would suggest if the people read these particular policies, if you have any comments, address them to Peggy Kellums, the chairman of the committee, would be appreciated.
Okay, just to let people know, the policy on professional development is a required policy from the New York State Education Department, and it's basically just a change in some wording. The other policies are mostly grammatical changes, except for the one about textbooks. And in that one, the policy committee wanted to make it clear that the district will make every effort to have the materials available for all students.
All right. Any comments? All right. It's 8.01. Are there any requests for addition to the agenda by any board member?
John.
Who's that?
Mr. Lumia.
Ruben.
Mr. Ruben.
Yeah, Rube.
There's not a request for an addition, but I would just like it to be known, like the public to know, that the Duchess Bosse's has experienced a new case of COVID right now, and it's brand new. We just heard about it today. So any further information, I guess, comes either through the Bosse's or through the Department of Health. I'm not sure how that works.
Thank you. All right, seeing none. 9.01, comments from the public. Bert, it's all yours.
Okay, let me check my forms here and email. Okay, there are no comments from the public.
With that being said, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Okay, thank you. John, give me a call when you get a chance, all right? Take care.
absolutely.
In the meantime, have a great night, everybody, and Dr. Dwight. Monk.